Ready to go. All right. Welcome to the Friday night paranormal chat. I am Paranormal Network Manager Jason Hewlett, trying to get into the festive mood of the season, hence my hat. With me is Jessica Dwyer. And if you've been following the channel since the beginning, she writes and narrates our show, Mytheries. Jessica, welcome. And thank you so much for
Thank you.
joining me on this week before Christmas Eve.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm really, really excited to be here and talk all things dark side of Christmas.
Well, and that's kind of it. Given that we're a paranormal network, and create paranormal content, it only made sense that we'd talk about the dark side of Christmas. Now, the next Mytheries is coming up on Monday, and you're all about Krampus. But why don't
Yeah.
we get a little bit into that without giving too much away from the show? And I know you obviously had more material than you could put in one episode anyway. So what have you learned? What is Krampus, and why does he seem to be so popular now?
So I think Krampus is well, first of all, what he is sort of an amalgam of things, and he kind of predates a lot of other religions as well. Like it's always weird to me when I find out that there is. Oh, hi, Miguel. It's
Hello, Miguel.
always it's always funny to me when I see the same sort of mythologies spread out across the world. It's the same with vampires. Like almost every continent, every religion or group has sort of a blood drinking myth, and with Krampus, it's the horned entity, the dark side of things, and Krampus kind of represents that in the Nordic way. And he's kind of like everybody says he's the enemy of Santa Claus or Saint Nicholas, but he's not. He is the dark, the enforcer basically to Saint Nicholas. Like
Santa's hitman kind of
Santa
thing.
really is like, but it's a hitman with birchweed and switches and things. But he's not an enemy. He is the enforcer. But it's that horned entity can be found in so many different religions. Like you have the one that everybody brings up with in regards to this because of the connotations with Christmas is the devil with Satan.
Mhm.
And Krampus is kind of, and typically you'll find that these horned entities are typically the enforcer. They're the punishment person. They get a bad rap, but they kind of have to be there because, you know, this is, parents can use Krampus as the tool to get children to behave. The one thing that surprised me that I hadn't really heard about was the fact that I knew about the bag, the kids get
Yep.
thrown in the bag and switches and things like that. But the fact that in some places he eats the children was
That's
one that, like, well, we'll just leave Tommy out with some milk for Krampus. That's what we'll do. you know, I'm like, okay, that he eats them.
Well, that's
Ah,
something. I mean, and hello to Jackie. Thank you for joining us, Jackie. Um, that I wasn't aware, kind of that I'd only really heard of Krampus in 2012, 2011. It was kind of just a few years leading up to Mike Doherty's movie, right? That he sort of seemed to show up as a pop culture icon.
yeah.
Why do you think he's caught on so much, especially if part of it is he eats the kids? You know what I mean? That's a
I
very taboo subject.
I think yeah, yeah. I think part of it is there's it's they I don't want to say this war on Christmas because that's not a thing, but I think there's been a return to other spirituality in the world a lot, and
Mhm.
I think that as you have, and this is not me trying to be political, but this is something that I've noticed is with this rise of hardcore Christianity right wing, you've had also a rise in we're getting tired of the preaching, and we're getting tired of this this sort of mentality. And I think it's kind of like a rebellion in one way because you want to talk about Christmas and you want to talk about how the Christian faith owns this time of year. Well, guess what? No, that's not the case. And let me explain to you why that's not the case and where all of these. so-called Christian steps and things to do to celebrate the holiday come from originally.
Yeah, which
And
that's
yeah,
great because it is. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut
no,
you
no,
off
no.
because we are talking this a lot of this, and it's something I kind of clued in slowly over the years. A lot of what are very much Christmas traditions aren't Christian at all.
Yeah,
They come from paganism.
yep. Yeah, and that, like with the Christmas tree, that's one of the biggest ones. Is that is something that has been around for millennia before anything where we decided to do ornaments and tinsels. That was something that was done far, far time ago by pagan, believers, and it's the Saint Nicholas, that whole, all of it. I mean, pretty much all of it has been taken as a way for evangelical Christianity to kind of make the transition easier for others to become Christian. Like, okay, you know what? We're going to cherry pick these beliefs and kind of mold them into our system. And that way, you're not quite giving up everything that you believed in to become a Christian. And so, but you kind of are, but we'll smooth it over here with this. Um, but I really, it's fascinating to me how much of that has been taken from all these other beliefs. And the other thing that I really like about the Krampus myth, and this kind of crosses over too, is how this time of year is sort of a time of death and renewal
Hmm.
because of winter and the solstice, and how why that's such a big part of paganism, as well as it's, you know I don't want to bring up Persephone and Hades and all of that, but you've got this time of the year where it's basically everything's kind of dying. The snow is coming down. You've got trees that are, the leaves are falling, and they look dead. um, and then that this is the time where we're saying goodbye to certain things.
Hmm.
And then you have this time of renewal, and that's what this time of year is for. um, and it's kind of an interesting, uh, when you look into it, like all of this renewal and kind of a celebration. I don't want to say a celebration of death, but you have it's interesting. I was going to bring this up, was how in Britain and in the UK, there's a tradition of telling ghost stories during Christmas, and it's I that's not a thing that we do here in the States, but over there it's kind of an interesting. It started with uh, James. I can't blanking on the first initials of
Henry
his name.
James.
Yes, well,
Henry
not
James.
Henry
Yeah.
James, but there's an author, and I'm blanking on the name, Mark Gatiss, who is fantastic, guy that made Sherlock and Dracula. He celebrates this author a lot, and P.D. James. I want to say P.D. James, but there was a tradition that he started of. He really took over of doing ghost stories during Christmas, and I think that's really, really neat. Like your family would come together and you would tell these stories, um, and I think it's kind of tied into that. All of this, if you go back and look at the myths, it's kind of all tied together.
It is, and it's interesting because like my we want to believe in hunting the haunted coast. Peter Wren, he's from the UK, and he said they too they would tell scary stories at Christmas, which we don't do here. We
Yeah,
tie that more into Halloween, the time to tell
yeah,
sort of spooky stories. But I think like the most obviously Charles Dickens, like the Christmas Carol is one of the key spooky Christmas stories, and it's
right.
about ghosts visiting at Christmas and reflecting on the past, present, and future and your place in it. And I think as we've commercialized Christmas, we've forgotten that whole element of it
Right.
over here
Well,
in
and
North America.
the part of the theme with Christmas in this time of year, I think a lot of people are also reflecting on the past. I
Mhm.
know with me personally, my family is, we used to gather together, and my grandfather was like the center of it. Like he was Christmas to me, and he's been gone for a number of years. Um, and it reminds me of it. And I think part of it too is that you're reflecting on the previous year, or and you have these memories that are so strong and tied to the holiday. It's easy to see people feeling that connection to lost loved ones, and feeling their presence. As I said, my roommate, she is very much into parapsychology and the paranormal, and she just had a reading done. She's worked with she's had readings by Chip Coffey and
Oh, wow.
People, another medium, and she was told that her grandmother wanted her to go buy a bell, because that's one way that spirits can communicate. And so she did that, and she's got a bell hanging on our Christmas tree right now, specifically for grandma to come through and just let her know she's there. And it's just that time of year, and it's that changing over to a new year, I think, too, and the seasons that really feed into it.
I agree, and it's a time that a lot of people are kind of reflecting, like, you're gathering as family, you're reflecting on, not only what you've got. Like, I know I have a son right now. My father, passed away, like, 30 odd years ago, but I always remember back to him being, the guy who made Christmas special, right? And then trying to take what he did and then bring it into my son's life in an indirect way. And sometimes it feels like he's around, at Christmas,
Yeah,
kind of watching, right? Like,
yeah, I have no doubt. And again, like I said, she has a podcast, if you guys want to check it out, called The Lunar Magic Tea Time. We have done ghost hunts. Take out a letter. It's all good. Ghost hunts in this house, and we have had, and it's what's bizarre to me is this is a brand new house. Like, we were the only people that ever lived here, but we have had interactions with entities, and we've had EVPs show up. But Nancy and Kristen, they get this stuff to show up, and it's really, I am a little bit freaked about it, because this ghost or entity, whatever it is in the house, it likes to grab things and hide things, and it loves, I don't know if it's family members doing this just to mess with us, but it happens. So this time of year, kind of the power level goes up on what's happening. So we just had another incident where my husband was looking for a piece of equipment, looked around, just dug everywhere, left, walked away, came back to the same spot, and there it was.
mm-hmm.
And it's like, F you, ghost. Like, thanks for doing that and making me waste a half hour of my life. Yeah.
That happens quite a bit. That's a very common paranormal activity from just my years of investigating. If anybody out there has had kind of a spooky story or a ghost story related to Christmas holidays, please drop it into the comments, and we'll address it. Jessica, have you had, because I'm the same, I live in a house that's haunted, and I've had one or two things happen this time. Have you had anything specifically go on around Christmas time in the home that you live in?
I'm trying to think, because we've had so much bizarre activity. I know that our dogs lately, it's very unnerving, because I have a new golden doodle. He's a little over a year old, and he's like 56 pounds. So pray for me, that I don't get eaten in the night. So what I've noticed her, and I've noticed the other dogs, when you're sitting downstairs, because the downstairs is all decked out for Christmas, they'll be sitting there, and all of a sudden they'll just turn and they'll stare behind you. There's nothing there that we can see, but there's just staring. And it's really unnerving, and it happens a lot. And I've also seen just shadows on the stairs, that you'll glance out of the corner of your eye. My husband, it really loves messing with him, because he gets he'll see people walking. Like, and he'll see somebody walk into our bedroom while he's at his desk, and he'll think it's me and turn around and there's no one there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's they really like messing with him. I don't know if it's because he gets a reaction. We've had instances when it got to the point downstairs where the cabinets were slamming at one time. It doesn't wake me up. My roommate, she was asleep. Her daughter, who's this was used to be her room, was woken up by it, and my husband was woken up by it. They just decided, bye guys, and they left. They left me and Nancy home alone asleep because we wouldn't wake up, and just took off because it freaked them out so badly. But it's crazy. The I'm trying to think of what the one that really got me. We've had Ouija boards work in this house like crazy easy. Hi Justin.
Hey, Justin. It does sound like poltergeist activity in a way. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That kind of behavior.
It's happened with the slamming of the doors, the stomping. I think it follows us around, I want to say, because again, this is a brand new house, and we had in the previous house that we lived in, we had incidents. So it's a little unnerving to think we have something attached to us like that. But I mean, it's never felt malevolent, at least to me. So it is what it is. But specific to the holiday, I will tell you something that happened when I was younger.
Okay.
At my grandparents' house. This house was a older house, and it actually had the staircase was blocked off at one time. And when they bought this home, they tore down that area and got the whole upstairs exposed and all that. Well, I was there in the second floor, and I will never forget this. This freaked me out. And they had activity all the time in this place. But I was just doing my homework. My mom was visiting. They were all downstairs. And this was a steep second story staircase. It's very important to know of that. And I was just doing my homework, had the door shut. I was in my grandfather's bedroom. He had a separate bedroom for my grandmother's. And I was just working. And all of a sudden, something just pounded on the bedroom door, like boom, boom, boom. And it freaked me out. I'm like, what the hell? And I thought it was my mom just being an ass. I didn't know. I'm like, are you just trying to mess with me? This is a woman that made me watch The Exorcist when I was 5.
Oh, boy.
So, yeah. No scared little girl there, man. And I also saw Salem's Lot when I was 5, too. So let me tell you about Danny Glick. So I wound up opening the door. Like, I got up really quickly and opened the door, and I was getting ready to, like, yell at her. Nobody. And I yelled down the stairs because they were down the stairs and into another room down in the living room. And I'm like, were you just up here? And they're like, what? It was not them. And it would have been a hard, like, you would have broken your neck if you'd ran down the stairs quick enough to not have me see you. So that happened to me there. We had smells like cigar smoke. Nobody smoked. One minister that was visiting their house had his grandson with him, and the kid was like, Daddy, who's that old man? Don't you see him? He's over there. And there's nobody there, and so there was definitely an entity in that house. So it's not something I'm not unfamiliar with when it comes to ghosts. So let me tell you, I've had plenty.
Well, that explains kind of why your interest when the network started, why you'd want to gravitate towards doing a show for it, right? People who've had experiences all their lives, you just you can't stop being interested. And I think it's become, being able to talk about like Krampus and Pagan, origins of Christmas. It's it's becoming more accepted to discuss.
Oh yeah,
the paranormal in our culture.
Oh yeah, and definitely with Krampus, because like I try to do within Mytheries is I want to show the pop culture acceptance and crossover of these stories and these legends and these myths, and I try to reference them in every episode, like, and give examples. Like if people want to get more information or experience some of these films or TV shows or what have you. With Krampus, there's quite a bit. And I love the fact that we, like Portland, Oregon, I talk about that. Krampusnacht is a big deal. Like they have a parade, and some of the costumes are insane that these people wear for these. Like just horror, like, movie quality, horrifying outfits. And it's interesting to me that, that it just is it's an accepted thing, and it's not new. Like this was a thing that happened millennia ago, like long time ago. This was done where they would just dress up. It wasn't even like a trick or treat. It was you go by and just get drunk in your give me that Slivovitz or whatever they're drinking here. And it basically would just get rowdy and party and threaten people, funnily, like, I'm going to spank your child if you don't give me a shot. And yeah, and so that would be what would happen. And I just I think that's part of the appeal too of Krampus is he's rock and roll because of the whole, I'm the enforcer, I'm the devil, like this whole thing, like Dio, I'm gonna rock it. He's like the heavy metal equivalent of antithesis of Santa. And I think that's part of the appeal too of why he's grown so much is it's also a lot of fun, and these that's been part of it. I'm not joking, guys, when I say that part of Krampus was going around dressing up in these crazy outfits and getting, shit-faced at your friend's house in the neighborhood.
It's kind of interesting how like the Krampus bit and the dark side of Christmas is like how Halloween, they both came from Europe.
Yeah,
and were basically adopted into Western culture over in North America, right? How that kind of we borrowed stole really those ideas and transported them over to here.
Well, and if you go back to the Mysteries episode that we did about Halloween, we talk about the fact that a lot of this again is rooted in paganism, and how like one thing that I can't, the pumpkin, the Jesus pumpkins, I guess is what you would call them. A pumpkin is like a Christian filled with this, and you can hollow them out and put the light in them. And it's like,
it's just something weird about that.
Why would you want to do that? Like, why are you talking about gutting me and putting light in me? No. But it's kind of again how they taking a very old belief system and incorporating it into a new belief system and cherry picking it.
And I think everything that's old is new again. I think that's kind of what happens, right? It's just, I think it's neat, like because we only got a few minutes left to have the two sides to the holiday now, and have both sides to be sort of celebrated and accepted, right? You've got the feel good side, where the love and peace on earth and goodwill towards mankind and giving, the joy of giving. And then when you've had enough of that, you can kind of revel in the Santa's hitman, kind of thing, who puts the child in the bag or eats them and walks away.
Yeah, Santa's hitman is a good description. I find it funny though. It's like you got to wonder how many parents kind of put together the Krampus myth on their own just so they'd have a way of controlling their kids.
Well, I might have to. There's still a week to go to Christmas. I might have to bring him into my house.
Yeah,
my boy's out of school and he's pretty excitable right now. So hey,
just
go to bed at 9. Krampus is coming.
Or the big devil man with the big long tongue is going to eat you.
Yeah.
You just tell the kid that and show him a picture and like, okay, that'll do it.
That worked.
Yeah, but I love how Krampus is he's definitely grown over the last like 10 years, become bigger, but it's great to go through and see some of the just if you look it up, there's like websites now dedicated to Krampus knots across the country where you can read about him and see the photos. And the one in Portland's pretty amazing. I've seen other ones as well. I think I want to say there's some on the East Coast that are just ridiculous. Like it's movie, like again, movie quality level stuff that they're doing. And I just, there's, like you said, there's this whole peace and goodwill towards men's side of Christmas, but there's also people like me that and there's a lot of us that just get so sad and down during the holidays, because it reminds us of, with me, and I'm very forthcoming with it. I know that I have depression in terms of this time of year because
me too. Me as well.
I mean, it's a prevalent thing. And so it is a darker time for us. And I don't know if it just makes me feel better seeing this big monster that kind of shows the horrific side of the holiday, or if it just, because as you can see, I like, if you don't see this, I like monsters, and I kind of feel more, I can get behind that more than, like everybody's saying, I see the commercialism. I see the, you're trying to use the holiday to sell me a bill of goods, basically. And I don't like that. I also don't like how, I don't have the people that I associate with this holiday anymore. I have their memories, but I don't have them. And, in my age, I'm 46. But I feel that kind of sadness that, I'm never going to be able to relive those times again. But with Krampus and that kind of side of things, it's, again, it's the party time guy that, I'm going to go around your neighborhood and threaten your kids, and I'm going to get drunk, and you're going to give, we're just going to, have a good time and party. And it is kind of like the heavy metal side of the holiday. And I don't know. I like it. It makes it a little bit more happier for me, weirdly, than not having that there. If that makes
no,
sense.
And I agree 100%. Because my, as much as I've got the family and I do the family Christmas stuff here. I like my role up. Like tonight, once we're done this, I'm getting ready to go downtown and watch, Bob Clark's original Black Christmas at our retro theater. And my holiday watches are like Lethal Weapon, Die Hard, the Black Christmas remake, the Silent Night remake. That I like that. That's my holiday movies, right?
Yeah, right after this is Joe Bob's Last Drive-In Christmas, and that's what I am all about. And I have no idea what they're doing this year, but I love that we get together and we watch all these horror movies about Christmas because it makes us laugh, and we get to see Jack Frost do horrible things to people.
It's good. It's good.
It is.
Well, Jessica, thank you so much for coming on and chatting with us about Krampus and the pagan Christmas traditions and everything. It was great. This was our last live stream of 2021, so I appreciate you coming on and joining me.
Sort of. No, I shouldn't say that. We still have 2 weeks.
Anything can happen in 2 weeks. Folks, thanks to everyone who's come in and joined me over the past few weeks of doing these live streams. We're going to be back early in January with another one. Not sure what it's going to be yet, but I got a couple weeks to figure it out. Wishing everybody a happy holidays and a Merry Krampus.
Yes, Merry Krampus, everyone, and seasons dealings. I don't know, devil, but what do we want to say? Seasons bleedings.
Seasons bleedings.
Seasons bleedings. Oh, there we go. Seasons bleedings or beatings.
Whatever works.
On whatever works. But thank you guys. Hi, George. Thank you. Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Jackie. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, everyone. We'll be back. New Mytheries out on Monday, and I'll be back with another live stream beginning of January. Be good, everybody.